After shaping with the files, I burnish it with this hardened steel polished rod. I find that burnishing helps give the best polish afterwards. There is an argument to be made about work hardening the piece, but generally speaking, I don't think it's going to work harden without changing color. I'm not generating enough heat for that with this. Next step is oilstone paste, and I've used oilstone powder from Cousins and mixed it with some mineral oil. After that, I use this Amplex diamond compound. This is 3 micron. After that is 1 micron. And finally, half micron. Have tried diamantine, which you would generally use to black polish steel. However, this gives a brushed appearance on titanium, not a polished appearance. For the polishing, I found that these different kinds of wood, pegwood and gentian wood, were both too soft. They ended up conforming to the shape of the spoke and rounding it by over polishing the top edge. The solution was to make a custom brass polishing tool. So here I have some square edges, and here I have a round tapered edge. The reason I've got it held in this vise like this is because you'll notice it flexes quite easily. And I want that because I don't want to polish too hard. If I polish too hard, I risk rounding the edges or breaking my tool. So holding it here in the vise makes sure that if I see it bending, I know to back off with the pressure. Bear with me here because I don't have a tripod, but I start with the oilstone. And I just want to be nice and gentle. Trying to match the angle. Without pushing too hard. And what you'll notice is this paste will start to turn gray. And I find that once it's fully gray, that's when I know I can move on to the next step. So generally I'll use enough paste to cover the one spoke here. And once the paste turns completely gray, I move on to the diamond compounds. Next, I grab this tool, find my square edge. And like the last step, this will start to turn gray. So that's almost completely gray. Like I said, for me, that's a good indicator. I can move on to the next step. So I'm going to clean it off again. And I'm going to move to the diamond polishes. I have the spoke bevels polished and the inner hub polished. And I'm going to give the face a texture. So I have here some ebony wood, and I'm going to use a few different abrasives to brush up the face here. So here I have the edges polished, top brushed. It looks pretty perfect. I'm really happy with this. So I've got the wheel all clean and polished, and it should be ready for the weights. At this point, there's no more poising I'm going to do on the wheel itself. Once it has more attachments on it, like the staff and the weights, I'll do more poising. I see a little spot in the top left there that looks a little out of round. So I think I'm going to address that and then start making the weights. So I was cutting the balance wheel weights and my lathe motor started making a weird grinding noise. I'm gonna take it to a place, see if they can fix it up. I don't really know what's wrong with it. That's not my area of expertise. I changed my mind. I'm gonna try and fix it myself. I found out what the noise is. It is, whatever this is, grinding against whatever this is. So if I put them together here, and I can actually replicate the sound it was making. There. Yeah, it's doing that. It was doing that while it was spinning, so I have a feeling it just needs to be cleaned and lubricated, and maybe there's something blocking the oil reserve or something, so I'm trying to figure that out too. So as it turns out, there is a little felt or some sort of cloth-like material in here, and that's to make sure you don't just dump oil in there, which makes sense. However, the ends were crusted over, so oil wasn't going through at all. So I cleaned them out, and now oil is going through at a good rate. So I think the only issue with the motor was that it wasn't getting oil. It's not making the noise anymore. It's spinning pretty clean. First thing I do is burnish the top here, kind of clean it up. It is just drawn wire, so the diameter should be very consistent along the length of the rod. I'm going to face it and then do a center drill and then chamfer the front, make my D-cut, part it off, and move on to the next piece. Now, I'm sure there are better cutting oils, but I have olive oil lying around here, so I'm just using some olive oil, and it has been working quite well. So I'm going to go in just very gently. We don't want to break this drill bit. A little tub. Maybe a little deeper. That should be good. Next, I need to set up the milling head, which is a bit of a process. So here I have my pulley system going to my milling head with a 1/16 inch end mill. I have just cut it down by 0.25 millimeters. So there's our flat spot. Obviously there's a little bit of cleanup on the edges, but I will take care of that probably after parting it off. Here we go. I've got 4 of these weights. I feel like I maybe should have made more, but they ended up just being made in groups of 2, so 4 worked out. And they look pretty good. Obviously there's some cleanup to do, but overall they came out all right. So the next step, which I'll do next week, is going to be to adjust the height and clean them up. And if there's time next week, work on the posts to mount these.